Nyoro is now proving to Kenyans that for you to be given a docket to lead, you must be expert in that docket.
The money you would get, it is trading in the market at 75% of the value. Would we go to the market and say we are selling this company at market price really? Even I will give the final example of a company that has no government attachment. Take a company like Diamond Trust Bank, a company which is a bank with 100 billion shillings in shareholders' funds or core capital. If you buy the share today in the market, it is trading at 32% of that value. Would you go to Happy Bank to tell them to sell you the share in the market price? Would they agree? It has never happened in the market and elsewhere. Currently in the US, there is an ongoing bid of a company called Warner Brothers Discovery, the owner of CNN. But they are not selling in the market. There is a bid, and the final bid is two companies, one called Paramount and Netflix. Then, this jargon about the market, a sophisticated market like the US is seeing the value of in competitive bidding in a private company. But here in Kenya, we have been cornered by our buyers, and we are now talking the language of market price. It will be wrong, and history will not judge us very well if you continue with this transaction with this kind of consideration. Second, I have already heard of that process. Chair, 6 billion shares we are selling with our population. It means the government is selling my 100 shares as Ndindi Nyoro. If you divide the shares we are selling, Chair, and you give Kenyans their share, everyone in this hall, because we are all Kenyans, today will be allocated 100 shares. So we must look at it that way. So my 100 shares, what is the process that has been taken for the buyer to be identified? What was the process? How did you one day wake up and decide we are going to sell to the current buyer? I will highlight just a few because I know there will be questions. Let me go to the next one. There is something in the market for any transaction to work.
For any transaction to work efficiently, Chair, there is something called information symmetry. Now, we are selling our stake of 15% to a company who is already inside Safaricom, who are already having board members. So definitely, they already have a step ahead of any other person who would think of buying our stake because of the information asymmetry. That is something else that we have to look at. Chair, allow me so that I go, this other point I think is the main one that brought me here. So before I go to that one, this issue of valuation, let me just recap a little bit in 1 minute. So, beyond the market, can we get the government of Kenya, when they conceptualized this issue of selling our stake, which valuation methods did they employ? Who did they hire to do the valuation? When did they hire those people? Because listening to the proceedings in the previous appearances, I heard about KCB and a framework contract. But Chairman, I would want to see that framework contract because I've been listening so that I don't waste your time. And
Mheshimiwa, I think, yes, Treasury did make that, and as a committee, we have requested for that framework. So, and I'm sure as a member of Parliament, you'll definitely have access to that once it's right.
Thank you very much, Chair. You know the reason I'm asking that, Chair? The day of the announcement of this deal, it became unwholesome. This is not how even transactions have been done previously. You come and bombard the market with information, and then immediately you're already announcing the price. So who determined that price? Who are these people who are hired to determine this price? That is something we have to interrogate. So there are various variations. That is what I'm trying to arrive at. In telcos, you can do EBITDA times Depends with how many times it's. But let me use the most simple manner and parameter of diversified as Safaricom PLC. Chairman, if you want this price of earning ratio, it's called PE ratio. Safaricom, remember this financial year, they are having a blockbuster increment in profit. Chair. So, we are selling our cow just immediately when it is coming out of the woods. What do I mean about the woods? Conveniently, the market has been bearish, but Safaricom has even been more bearish for this reason. You are building a flat here. We have a company, let's say, called ABC Limited. You are building a flat which you're already collecting rent. And that rent, you used it to build another flat. So the person looking at the bottom line will see that all the money you made in your first flat is already building the second one. So there will be no much profit. So our flat here is Ethiopia. We went to Ethiopia. Safaricom went to Ethiopia. Licenses alone. One license was 850 million USD. The other one was 150 million USD. You've already sunk 100 billion USD in Ethiopia on licenses alone. I have not talked about towers. They have done thousands of towers in Ethiopia. So that company, before it went to Ethiopia, because my main point is around valuation, in 2021, the share price was 45 shillings. And the market valuation of Safaricom PLC in 2021 was 1.8 trillion shillings. 2021. It has since invested in Ethiopia. Yes, it was bleeding, but the bleeding of cash in Ethiopia, according to Safaricom themselves, in the release of the last financial year, they are anticipating by next financial year, they are breaking even operationally. How convenient is this then, that we come just when Safaricom will start adding into the bottom line, and then, surprisingly, we want to sell our stake, but also basing it on the vagaries that Safaricom has gone through called markets. So in terms of PE ratio, Chair, Safaricom, the kind of profit they make it this year, their PE ratio by March, because they closed.
Guys, I do agree with Ndindi Nyoro that for us to do anything, we should do something that call evaluation and try to figure out to see, are we making a profit in this deal that you are doing, or we are getting a loss in this deal that you are doing? And in case, guys, this is your first time coming across us, kindly please click that subscribe button, then allow the notification buttons to be on. Whenever we are producing a video like this one, YouTube will automatically give you a notification. Now, big problem is the selling of Safaricom. Do you support this idea? You know, Mimi, I may say that giving a foreigner to manage Safaricom is something very dangerous for me and you as Kenyans. Why am I saying so? We have our data. Those people has our ID numbers. Those people can easily now manipulate the election when it comes in 2027. Selling of Safaricom, we need to look it in different angles. So according to me, I will not look it in terms of money, in terms of loss, in terms of profit, or rather in terms of who will benefit from it. But me, I look it beyond that. I look it in 2027. That might be the case that someone somewhere may have the Kenyans data, assure that only in Safaricom, these are the Kenyans who are registered, who has ID. You know, you cannot register a line without ID. So that ndio antajua na, and in most cases those people who has ID almost in everything, and in most cases those people who have ID are eligible to vote in Kenya. Na nilisikia there is rumors that they want to say that wastoi mambo ya lazima ukwe registered kama mpiga kura, wanataka kutoa sasa at if you have ID You can just walk in a polling station, then you vote into whoever you want to choose. That is very dangerous. That is the red flag that I'm bringing in. Tuachane na mambo za economics zote zenye Ndindi Nyoro anapiga. Tuachane na mambo za profit zote, who will benefit. Sisi tuangalie uchaguzi bana. This is politics here. We talk politics. A foreigners cannot have Kenyans data. That is period. My point of argument. If I were in that meeting, a foreigner cannot have our data whatsoever. Hiyo iwezekani bana. How comes I'm registered, majina zangu zote, everything Safaricom, how I do transaction, then all of this mupe foreigner now will be managing all those sorts of that I'm speaking about. Guys, tusidanganyane. This is a way on how Ruto is planning to remain in power. You know, election is a process. And election is not something that you will wake up tomorrow and conduct it. It is not an event. It is a process. And this might be one of the Ruto's process. That wacha hii tutoe Safaricom to list to this company so that it will operating outside of the nation. So kumaanisha 2027 hata some of us criticism who talk on this social media platform tutazimwa, kwa sababu mkiwa Kenya at least namba yako kutresiwa inakuwa ngumu sana. So this time around it's not a Kenyan who is operating. Wanasema tutoa namba za mtu fulani, tuambie ako wapi na ako wanafanya nini. Already mkuu washamfikia. Yani it will be easy for government. And now Kenyans will not blame Safaricom, kwa sababu is not labda even operating in Kenya. So kupeana wa Kenya itakuwa rahisi tu kabisa. Foreigners ndio anani ajali. So mkisema mnataka okay, tunataka mkuu, peana. Anakaa wapi? Ako Nairobi. Side gani? Okay, peana. So it will be easily for us to be poached. Criticism tutakuwa in a very dangerous situation in this country, kwa sababu our data are not safe. Our information privacy is not guaranteed there. Unataka huyu amefanya nini? Okay, peana. That's why I like Airtel. I think now when Safaricom is now handed over or rather to Ethiopian government, ikiwa successfully list to Ethiopia, sisi tutafanya, hiyo ni maoni yangu, tutoke tu Safaricom bana, tuatoke tu, tuachane na wao. We have Airtel money, so tuanze kuwa na maagent za Airtel. We need to have now to start transacting on Airtel, tuachane na Safaricom. So miki tuna bleed na Airtel, mweke your booth in almost every sub county, ndio network ikuwe strong, muanze cooperation in Kenya. Nimeona kuna loophole ya business in this sector. Telecom uko wapi? You have to raise up and try to mchukue this space, kwa sababu this it seems that the government don't want it to exist. Tuendelee sisi tuingie kwa Airtel. Hata mimi sasa kuanzia leo ukipiga simu Safaricom sitapatikana, na zima line zote na hamia Airtel. Ukitaka pesa kusupport mkuu, tuma na Airtel, kwa sababu Safaricom is something that we are not going to trust it at all. What is your thought, guys? Drop it in the comment section. I'll be doing my best to read it and giving you a response. And with that, peace and love. That, guys, follow long political analysis on this channel. And if you are watching us in any other social media platform, kindly please take a minute or two, go to YouTube, search for Mkuu Politics, then subscribe to that channel. And with that, guys, thank you for choosing Kenya Political Brief as your primary news platform, more so on politics. Kindly please share this video to a friend. If politics is your passion, this is the place you really wish to be. Kindly subscribe. Bye bye.